Hi, I'm Dave from Dwights Outdoors. Now that you've found a great place to pitch your new canvas tent, there are a couple of key things to remember. One is the direction of the prevailing wind. It is always great to have the wind facing the rear of your tent. Another key thing to check is the ground that you're about to pitch your new tent on. It needs to be clear of any sharp objects, sticks, stones, beer bottle caps, anything along those lines. This will then ensure that your tent stays in pristine condition and lasts a long period of time. So if you're going to use a ground sheet underneath the floor of your tent, it is very important to make sure that it is tucked in approximately 20 to 30 centimeters inside from the outside edge of the tent. This ensures that when the rainwater hits the tent, that it can run down the walls and drain freely away from the tent, thus avoiding it getting trapped between the floor of the tent and the tarpaulin. The first thing you need to do is put a peg in all four corners of the tent. These corners all need to be pulled out fairly firmly so there are no wrinkles in the floor fabric of the tent. Once you get to the last remaining peg, it's important to give it a nice firm pull, not too tight, and then drive the last peg into the ground. You can then go around the rest of the tent and put in the remaining pegs to secure the base to the ground. When putting in the tent pegs, it is very important to put them in on approximately a 45-degree angle. Putting them in on this angle will help reduce the chance of them being pulled out in strong wind. So the next step is to put in the end ridge poles into the tent. You work from the outside and then work your way in. So when it comes to the socket and getting the pole through, you need to just manipulate the canvas slightly, push it through gently, thread it through the webbing loop and then in through the canvas loops. You then need to pull the socket back and just pull it gently over the steel rivet on this corner pole. The next step is to just pull the webbing loop and put it over the steel rivet. This can be quite a firm fit. On the Homestead Deluxe, there is an additional fly over the centre room. It makes it a lot easier to do up the clips on the sides of the fly while the tent is down. This is very difficult to do when the tent is set up. Once you have the support legs attached to the end ridge, it is now time to lift the end ridge up. This has to be done nice and evenly. 1, 2, 3, go. It is important that these support legs are on approximately 45 to 60 degree angle. It is also good to remember to keep the doors all unzipped before pitching these tents to allow the air to enter. To lift the internal ridge pole, it is very simple. It's one hand on the bottom, one hand on the top so it doesn't fall apart. Very simple. 1, 2, 3. Easy as that. With this tent being a little bit unique, being the Homestead Deluxe, this tent has a much longer spigot on the internal centre roof support. This longer spigot is required for the fly, which goes over the outside at a later stage. When the spigot is pushed fully through the roof eyelet, then you can replace over the rubber washer and the spacer for the fly. You can then put the spacer support bar through to the other side. Now we can evenly lift the centre ridge pole. 1, 2, 3. Then it's just a matter of simply attaching the rest of the fly clips and adjusting the tension as necessary. When it comes to putting in the centre ridgepole for the veranda, if you're finding that it is too high or you're too short to reach it, you can always move the 2 internal support poles out onto an angle to make this section lower, which will make putting the veranda pole in much easier. Done. Once you've got your peg firmly into the ground, approximately 1 metre from the bottom of the pole, you can then use the black rope tensioner to adjust the rope. You can make it nice and tight. Generally around halfway up the guy rope or just a little bit further down, just to give enough room for future adjustment if it's required. Another handy tip, don't forget to put the witches caps over the top of the spigots first. Guy rope goes over last, locks that down nice and tight. Fully prevents water from seeping down the inside of your poles.